Welcome to the Evolving But Backwards podcast.
Hello and welcome to Evolving But Backwards. My name is Joey.
My name is Marios.
Marios what? What's your last name?
What am I like? Papa something, okay? Are you happy?
Extremely. I'm ecstatic and my berries tinkled. Welcome, guys. What episode is this, Marios Papa something?
This is our season finale, episode 15.
Hola.
It has been a journey so far.
It's been an arduous road, really filled with so many obstacles and hardships because it was with you, Marios. But,
Fuck you.
But yeah, can you believe it? 15 episodes. Popore file mare. Let's first start. What did we do this week? What did we do?
Before we say about the week, in this episode, which you cannot see yet because we don't have video, we actually upgraded the studio, and right now we have 2 microphones, pop filters, everything. And also it's the first episode that I'm also wearing headphones to record the sound.
How high tech?
The most
high tech. Honestly, we are. You can say evolving but forward.
No, because it's super off-brand to say that, but okay.
Okay.
Okay, for my week, apart from working, I don't remember doing anything out of the ordinary, to be honest. Yesterday, it was a Friday, right? No.
No, it was Saturday, unfortunately. I know tomorrow is Monday again.
Fuck.
El most horrible.
You ruined my life.
True.
Okay, on Friday, I was tired as fuck and I just went home and slept. And
You're getting older.
How old are you, Joey?
Fuck off.
Okay. So, yeah, Friday I just crashed, and then yesterday and Saturday I went out with my girlfriend to the city of Athens, which only for Saturday had a good weather, because for the rest of the weekend, even now, it's cloudy as fuck.
Schizophrenic, I would say.
Yes. Summer from Lidl. And then I went to a house party from a friend of mine. It was her birthday, and that's it. Today there is an open party in Lykapetus Mountain, so we're gonna go there. And
is it for anybody to join, or is just your friends?
It's free entrance, Malaka.
So it's like the city that's done this event?
It's I don't remember how they're called, street music something.
So there was something like this in Piria yesterday as well. So.
Yes, it's kind of similar. So it's like actual people that they do the event, and it's free entrance up in the mountain.
Popo.
You can join if you want. What about your week?
I painted my house, and now it looks amazing. It looks new. It looks like it was originally intended, and how I visualized it in my head. And it's the most beautiful. It's so white. You can look at it and cry. Literally cry. Tears of happiness, though. That was my week.
That's okay, so you just painted your house?
Yes.
Bravo, Joe.
Thank you so much.
Anyway, on today's episode, season finale, we have already teased in the previous episodes. We have a guest.
A very esteemed and special guest, I must say.
The most.
I agree.
Thank you. How retarded are we?
I am the most retarded. You're fine, actually. But because of my effect, you're becoming more retarded. I'm terribly signomy.
Possible. So today's guest is for the episode about...
Drum roll. Thank you.
Ne?
It's about living and surviving and experiencing something completely out of the ordinary, let's say. And what would you call it, Marie?
Papa, we have teased this so much.
I know,
like there is an old Greek show called Lampsy, like the sign, that they will do this all the time because they want to drag out the episodes, and they will say, Virna is blind. And then the next course will be like, what do you mean? I mean she cannot see. So what are you saying, that your eyes do not work anymore? And they will do this like for 10 minutes. And this is what we've been doing.
Maybe we shouldn't do that, to be honest. Okay, it's about a cult. It's a cult episode. Cat's out of the bag, y'all.
Exactly. So it's about cults, as we have already teased in the previous episode. So today we have our esteemed guest, as Joey said, John. Hello, John.
Hi, thank you for having me. Very nice to be here. Very big fan of the show.
Ah,
Ah, you tinkled my berry right now.
stop trying to make it
It's
happen.
gonna happen.
Nice to have you here with us, John, and being open to talk about all of this. So, we're going to talk about his experience being involved in some extent in different cults, let's say. In today's episode, as it's like legit, and we're not gonna make shit up, we're gonna use like fake names and from the cults themselves because some of them are like kinda big. We cannot say their actual names, so
And we want to live and not die. So, yeah. So please don't come at us. We really don't care about you. We just want your story, you know? And we're not gonna say your names. And yeah, I really enjoy, breathing. So,
also how nice that we have two mic. How high tech.
the most high tech and the most nice, I have to tell you.
Okay, John,
Hi.
talk to us.
Hi.
So-
Tikanis.
I am good. Feeling good to be here. Really, really hyped for the episode.
John, you know me as the fun Joey. Full disclosure, we met John a couple of days ago just to see what he wanted to share, what he didn't want to share. So he saw the fun Joey, but I have to tell you now, I'm gonna put my investigative journalism hat on, and I'm gonna be a monster. I hope you're okay with that.
That's okay, Detective Joey.
All right, very good. So, John, let's start, let's say. Tell us your first foray and introduction to this world. Maybe set it up. I remember you told me that it was due to your parents, something like that. Maybe introduce that, how it, so people know how you eventually reached this world.
To take the timeline from the beginning, like how it all started.
Exactly. We're gonna paint a story for you, so close your eyes, guys.
Sounds good. So I guess I should start with the fact that my family was always very open when it comes to like religious and things like that. And for example, we had like Mother Mary and Jesus on the wall, and there was a Buddha on the side, things like that. My dad, when he was young, he was always very open-minded. He decided when he was 18 to hitchhike to India and back. So he's, that I think really informed his experiences and his life in general later.
So he was a free spirit, you could say. for
Very,
sure.
very much. Hippie, definitely. And fast forward, when I was like 17, we used to have a big house, and they would rent it to people for activities and stuff.
So
which
you were
we
wealthy.
will-
This is what you're telling me. You were wealthy.
No.
Okay.
No.
Never mind then.
So you had like an Airbnb before it was cool, kinda.
Something like that, but
And
Yeah, go
what
ahead.
year are we talking about?
we're talking 2010, 2012, somewhere along those lines.
Okay, so your dad hitchhiked to India, which is super cool, by the way. How long did he stay there?
I'm not really sure, but he did it a lot. He went to Asia mainly a lot, many times.
And how old was he?
The first time he went there when he was 18, which was very, very young. And I'm sure my grandma didn't like it when he came back with a full Indian monk apparel. That must have been fun. But he used to travel there a lot. And I would guess mainly, he felt like that a spiritual calling.
What year was that?
What? What year? The
70s, 80s?
70s.
Okay, the fun times.
The fun times.
You could hitchhike to India back
Okay,
then.
they legalize it times.
Yes, yes. Would you say that then that those kind of experiences, he was already a free spirit, but those kind of experiences made him more open-minded to
For
other
sure,
ways
for
of
sure,
life?
For sure.
All right. So this was obviously before you were born. What do you remember? What's the first memory that you have that okay, your family was not necessarily exactly the same as a typical Greek Orthodox family, let's say?
I can start with also pretty much the same. The first experience I had with a cult, I would say.
Okay.
So basically, when I was like 17, of course there were signs that, okay, I'm not in a typical Orthodox family, Buddhas on the walls, and, little bits and pieces of every religion, which was cool. I never mind. And I was 17, I was just chilling in my room. Again, we had like a space that we would rent to people that for activities, yoga and stuff. And one day, my dad came to my room and said, so the translator that I had for this workshop just left.
Okay, question. How old were you at the
17.
time? 17. Okay, so your family was like open-minded, but they were just renting their house to people traveling to Greece.
That's how it started.
Okay, so it's not that they were in a cult and then they were facilitating.
Not really, no. They were just renting the space where people rented it for workshops, which was basically like cult stuff.
Okay, but they didn't know. It was just someone saying, "Hi, we want your place to come over."
Yes.
Okay, so they had a translator. They were, if I remember from what you said the other day, they were coming from all over the world, like Mexico, United States, whatever, to talk to Greek people.
Yes.
Okay.
Or people that were in Greece, I guess.
Okay, and they had a translator. The translator, what happened? Was he killed?
I think she just got into a big fight. If I recall, there were some punches being thrown when she left. That's what I heard.
Punches.
Yeah, it was a lady that the translator that gave the punches as well. So sounds like a fun story.
Maybe they told her, drink this Kool-Aid, it will make you feel better.
Possibly. In retrospect, maybe that would have been my first hint.
Okay, so they just told your dad, like, if anyone speaks English, and your dad was like, okay, my son speaks English, so you went there to work, let's say, pretty
Yes.
much, as a translator.
They hired me as a translator, I guess.
Okay, so far, I mean, who wouldn't do it? You're like 16, 17.
Good money. It was 50 euros every day, so for 17-year-old me back in 2012, I was rich.
I mean, yes.
Yes.
Like, I would do it.
I would do it too. This was when your dad first started asking you to translate the very first time. How long has these quote-unquote workshops have been happening?
A few months, I would guess, and it's good that you mentioned. I had some signs of there were different groups that would come. It was not just one, and you would hear some singing because it was like on the other side of our property. You could hear sometimes a few screams, but we will get to that point as well.
Okay.
Should I go on with the first encounter?
Yes, go for it. Bless you.
Sorry. So I say, okay, let's do this, and I go into the workshop and start translating. I don't exactly recall exactly what the topic of that first day talk was, because I did it a lot and everything just blends into one. You go into autopilot, and for sure it was something about that particular group was very new age, crystals, energies, we believe in the earth and things like that.
Were they putting the crystals in their ass?
As far as I know, no. But
You couldn't see. So.
I have to say that the particular shape was
Of a phallic shape.
exactly.
Okay. Ella, what great questioning skills you have. All right, so that you don't remember specifically because it was like from ages ago, but at that point it was just normal. Let's say there weren't red flags, let's say, or did you see some red flags but you didn't think they were that serious?
I was very young, and to me, in general, I was always of the opinion that when it comes to religion and belief in general, I can never prove anything, so I don't care. I'm not really invested in this. More from an anthropological perspective, I guess. Everything seems interesting, but everyone can believe whatever they want. That's okay. When I went into this, it seemed a bit funny to me. Because it was all, white people talking about the spirits of the earth and things like that, which seemed a bit off. But I was getting money, you know. I didn't really question it that much at the beginning.
Were most of them Greek?
All of the people attending were Greek, or most, I guess, and I think that the lady that was leading it, let's say that she was from UK. She was doing the workshop. I'm doing quotation marks at the same time when I say workshop. Yeah, she was from UK. So
How much, do you know how much these sessions, these workshops would cost?
not exactly, but I'm sure it was like 300 euros for 2-3 days workshop, maybe more, more money.
And what was the point of the workshop?
Every time it would be something else, but it was always something about cleansing all of the negative energy from your soul and things like that.
Have you seen this cleansing your butthole when they're naked and then just put the sunbathe?
Put the crystals.
No, it's legit. They just sunbathe with their butthole or something.
I've actually checked
I've
that
actually
out.
seen
I
that.
laughed so
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah, I've actually seen that. I think it was a parody video though, or no?
No,
People do
legit.
it.
I thought it was legit as well.
It was
Okay.
from an influencer. Okay, so there was this leader of a group, let's say. We don't know if it's a cult. I mean, you know it when it's too late, when you drink the Kool-Aid.
True.
Okay, so there was this woman from the UK. She came to Athens. She had some following, I guess, because I don't know who she is. So people that know her have a reason to know her. And they would do these sessions in the house that you rented as an Airbnb, let's say. And then how many people would go there?
I've seen groups from 20 people, maximum I think 50 once. They were stacked.
Oh, okay. So it's a considerably large group we're talking about, right?
Sometimes, yeah, it was different people would bring more. Different people that would come from abroad would bring more people.
Okay,
Depending
imagine
on
like
their-
50 people, 300 euro each minimum for
That's a
2
good,
3 days. Yes.
Yeah, like
Good profit.
so basically people needed to be at least comfortable to kind of attend these workshops, right? More or less, if they're taking, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 days off from work and paying 400, 500.
Everything was very much in the. I don't know exactly how to explain it. The new agey way, just yoga mats and pillows on the floor. That was it. When you're talking about being comfortable.
And those sessions would be all day, 8 hours, 5 hours.
Usually it would be from 9 o'clock in the morning until 9 o'clock at night with some breaks in between.
Holy shit.
And what would they do all day?
There was a lot of talking, which was like, I guess, the theory of the thing. Depending on the different group, there would be a part about the particular, I guess, mythology they would follow. Somewhere like, I guess, picking some pieces of like Native American tradition, Inca tradition, things like that, mixing it with modern psychology. They would talk about that a lot, and then there were like exercises which could be, I guess, meditations or breathing exercises, which were interesting to observe sometimes.
Before you tell us about that, when the sessions were over, were they all sleeping there like a commune? Would they go in their hotels, houses?
Usually they would just go back to, because that was being done at our place, they would go back and return to the next day, or if they really needed to just crash in the space that we were giving them for the workshop,
Okay,
in a sleeping bag or something.
okay.
All right, so these things were happening. Let's say workshops, 50 people. Usually the instructors were foreign, you said.
Yes.
So what are some of the characteristics of these people that gave these workshops? Anything worth pointing out?
I've met many different people, and I can say that I think that some of them really believed into it. Good for them. But I could tell that some of them were just completely full of shit. A common characteristic that I think was always there was, I think you can see something very similar with people from any religion that are really too much into it, a bit too fanatic about it, where it's all about the energy and you control everything. That was a very common characteristic. People would even say that, oh, you got cancer, that's your fault. Sorry for the clap as well.
It's okay.
We forgive you.
You can just breathe and we'll be okay.
Yeah.
Okay, what you mentioned the breathing itself was interesting. In what way?
Basically, there were some. Breathing was a very common practice among most of these groups.
Among the Demon Slayer corps.
If it was that kind of breathing technique, I would be really into it, to be honest. The way it worked, usually it was you had to follow a certain breathing pattern, maybe 8 fast breaths, 3 slow, something like that, which does put you into a certain mind state because of too much oxygen.
Okay, now I feel
basically.
like a god.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Marius. Yes.
And then they would different groups would do it in a different way, but then there was surely an aspect of like energy healing or something, crystals pulling energy.
So they would do these breathing exercises. Let's say the instructor would come up to you, just as an example, and okay, now we're gonna do this, and it's basically to shake off negative energy that you might have. It's supposed to heal you.
Yes, good description.
All right. So let's say, sounds harmless enough. Where did it get weird with these breathing exercises? Let's say.
And before you reply to that, I also have a question. Like, these instructors, were they coming here as a religion? Were they coming here as yoga instruction, personal?
They would very, very firmly say that no, it's not a religion. But if it quacks like a duck, etc., it's probably a duck.
It's not a chicken.
Yes.
True.
They would say it's not a religion, but there was a very certain, particular belief system in place every time, which, to be fair, it was very all-encompassing. It's like, okay, you can believe in anything you want as long as you also believe in this. Yes.
Red flags everywhere. I see them.
Exactly.
Okay, and about the breathing?
Yes, and about the breathing, I remember this was in my first experience. They would like go into pairs, and one person would be the client, I guess, the one receiving the
Treatment.
healing,
Yeah.
I guess.
The coffee breath. They would swap breaths.
Okay.
And the other one would be the shaman, I guess. That was the word that they were using.
The word was summon.
Yes.
Malaka, summon
With
it
an
again.
H. Shaman King.
Salmon King, yes.
Okay.
Not as cool as that.
Shaman. Okay. All right. Yes.
And they would just go through this. It was like a kind of guided meditation thing, and I would just relax and observe. And at first, cool, people just breathing, and that's okay. But then some people would start crying. That was when I heard the screams for the first time, which supposedly they were going through all of the bad energy and they had to give it away, which made me think for a second. But when I tried it, nothing really clicked for me.
Wait. So would they ask them to scream, or did people just start?
No. It was
spontaneously screaming.
Exactly, spontaneously
Okay,
screaming.
and you took part in it.
I did try it because again I had a very big interest. The biggest part in me was saying, okay, this is kind of silly, but I wanted to approach it to why not?
Okay, so
it's free for me as well.
You went as a translator, you were getting money, but you were already there and you were like, okay, fuck it.
Exactly.
Let's see.
Okay. So I think I remember you mentioned something like during these screaming exercises, people would have their kids with them or babies and that kind of thing.
There was a couple of instances where people would have their very, very young babies in the stroller on the side.
And they would just scream in front of their babies.
Yes.
Did the babies cry?
Yes.
All right.
Makes sense, I think.
Excellent parenting, I have to say.
If they cry, you cry. And then you ask to change the diapers and everything.
Exactly. All right. So this is like, let's say the first time you noticed something was like a little bit weird off about the whole thing. And that,
Yes.
so people, were the instructors encouraging to scream? Did you ever have any of the participants like really overdo it? I don't know, go into a trance or kind of panic or something like that?
For sure, there were panic attacks. Which, to be fair, I can see it happening because they're asking you to just think of your worst fears and phobias and all of, so you can beat them, I guess. But it doesn't seem like a very controlled, very safe environment to go and do that.
I don't know why, but it reminded me of an episode of The Office where Michael Scott was like a prison Mike, and the worst thing about prison was the Dementors. I don't know why, but this is what it reminded me.
I love Prison Mike.
It,
Also,
involved-
Joey,
Yes.
can the listeners open their eyes?
Not yet. Right now we're painting a picture. I will let you know when. Don't you fucking dare open them now. All right. Okay. So what do you say? Question. What do you say that at a certain point in the beginning you kind of drank the Kool-Aid and thought, okay, this is legit?
Not really. I was still there as a translator. I never went out of my way to participate to one of these things, and whenever I was there, I was just doing my job. I tried it a few times. Not for me.
All right. Were you able to? Did you feel not safe? Did you tell your friends and that kind of thing that you were participating in these things, or did you kind of keep it a secret?
I did mention it to close friends. It was not something I would advertise to everyone. Hey, I work basically for something that very much looks like a cult. But of course, I said it to my best friends, and yeah, that was it.
Okay, seeing how it works and how much money they're making, did you ever consider that, okay, that's easy, I could do it on my own?
Yes, but also at the same time, no, because I would never really. I'm really bad at lying, so if I didn't really believe that stuff, I couldn't. It wouldn't work for me.
Okay, so with the perspective of a third party, let's say, in all of this, you thought that they were fake?
For me, okay, I should start with this. If you don't believe in any religion, everything is fake, right? From that point, yes, 100% in my opinion. Did some of them really believe into it, as people believe in religions? Yes. So.
Okay, so when the cult leaders, I would say, were saying that, okay, everything that happens is up to you and you can control it, let's say cancer, were people actually believing that
Yes.
it was their fault or I can fix it
Very
if I
often.
meditate and shit?
Very often, yes. Which I guess they wanted to give you an empowering message that you control your fate. But if you already got something bad,
Okay, so instead of telling them go to a doctor or whatever, they will say just meditate so that they can make 300 euros out of
there
it.
were some people. To be fair, most of the people leading this stuff would not say, "Do not go to normal Western medicine doctors." But there were other people just attending that already had that belief.
So basically, in these workshops, they encouraged people, not encouraged, they were anti-Western medicine. So basically, they're having people who were sick and really needed to get some medication or something that didn't do it because
I'm sure, yeah.
because this is what was advertised. So we can safely say that people fucking died because of this shit.
And what were they saying was the solution to your cancer, for example?
Whatever they were doing every time, the different group, of
Okay,
course.
so one group will say use these crystals that cost 1,000 euros that you can buy from our website, you're gonna get healed. Others would say meditate or something.
Yeah, basically something like that.
Lol malaka.
Okay, so yeah, that's super fucked up. Super fucked up.
yes.
Yeah. I remember as well because just for the record, they were not licensed physicians or therapists or psychologists or
No,
anything
no,
like
no,
this. Okay, so I remember you told me a story that kind of stuck with me about a woman who was molested as a young kid, and they kind of. Can you tell us that story?
Oh, yes, sure. It was a very weird scenario for me, at least. One of these leaders, I guess, were also doing like sessions, healing sessions for money, of course, while she was here. And she called me and told me that there was this lady that wants to have a session. She doesn't speak English, so if I can go be in the session to translate. And basically she was doing whatever they were doing with the crystals, and they had some tools, let's say. And the lady that was receiving the session basically just had a flashback that she was molested when she was a kid. which must be very nice surprise.
No, John, it's not nice.
That was
think it was
that
being
was ironic,
sarcastic.
of course.
Yes, yes. And so she had a flashback and she was kind of trying to cope with the molestation. As far as you know, and remember, did they blame it on her in any way that she was molested?
That's one of the that's a very good point actually, because when something like that happens, we go to the it's the way of the universe, and same thing with God has a plan for everyone. So,
Oh, shit.
Yeah, of course, there's always this double approach.
Oh shit, all right. Not traumatic at all.
Okay, for the people that were sick or generally, like, were they talking about life after death and what happens if you die and if you use this spiritual way of living, you're gonna whatever?
Yes, and every different group had their own beliefs, but there was always something after in whatever way.
Was it, did they in any way say if you don't do these practices that you're not going to go to the afterlife?
Exactly, like how were they portraying that, okay, if you follow these... I don't
Actually,
know.
yes. Basically, most of these groups, they were all. I wouldn't say that they were all connected to each other, but they had a lot of similarities with each other. If you don't, basically, in a very Buddhist way, that if you don't ascend, you'll basically have to go through the cycle of life again and again. In a very similar way, if you don't, I guess, cleanse your soul or something like that, you will not, your soul or parts of your soul will not be able to go to the other side.
Okay, so these therapeutic sessions that were not a cult and were not a religion, they were promoting that if you do our methods, our ways, there will be an afterlife for you.
Yes. Of
Okay.
sorts. Depends
Sounds
on the
like a
different
cult.
group.
Sounds like if you don't buy our crystals, you're gonna go to hell. Something like that. All right, so far we've seen that there's definitely been some psychological damage to people. I mean, these people were not licensed in any way, and they were kind of treating people with severe trauma, like charlatans, we would call them. Severe trauma from like it's heavy stuff like molestation and I don't know PTSD and that kind of thing, and they were kind of implying that that's their fault. Also, what I wanted to ask you, sorry. So this is what we've seen so far. Can you tell us in these sessions as well that how many sessions, rough estimate, would you say you've participated in over the years?
A lot.
Hundreds.
When we say sessions, do we mean like days?
Ah, okay,
Can we-
because some of them are multiple days.
Yes, exactly. I would say, yeah, at least 100, 150 days,
Oof. All right.
I
all
would
right.
say.
All right.
Somewhere around there.
So also these shaman, let's say, cultural leaders, some of them were Native American, some of them were Indian, some of them were Mexican, that kind of thing.
There were people from all around, yeah.
All right, all right. So during these sessions, let's say, okay, some screaming, some severe screaming. Some crystals, some weird stuff, some cultish shit. What was the event that you first saw that you're like, okay, this is a cult, or this is scary, or this is like not what I really signed up for?
There was a fire at the end, and I mean like a bonfire, not arson.
Yeah.
There was a bonfire at the end and singing around the fire, which like cult songs. That was not a very fun
They
experience.
were going around the fire. I'm a Barbie girl. in
That-
a
that would be-
Barbie world.
world, black and
That'd be a
plastic.
nice sing along.
All right, and what did they do around this bonfire? What was the ritual, let's say? Why did they do it? What was the reasoning behind it?
The one I remember, or from those particular groups, it was like they would sing songs and then like throw some stuff into the fire which would symbolize the things they're leaving behind. It's not poetic stuff, but the whole singing, yeah, not
Okay,
my
cleansing
stuff.
ceremony. Actually, this is super usual for pagan cultures that they just burn their seed to cleanse themselves or whatever.
That part and symbolism, again, you can believe in whatever you want. I'm okay as long as you don't affect
Burn
other
my house.
people or pressure it on other people, I'm happy for you.
All right, and in these sessions, since we're talking here about some uh, primal, primitive kind of religion, or I don't know, however you call it, were there any substances used to enhance the experience of the participants?
There were some groups that did not use any kind of, like hallucinogenic
Drugas.
substances.
They were using Panadol, Depon,
Depon, I love Depon.
Augmentin.
My favorite. But there were also some other groups that their main focus was around the substance. But I want to make clear that the groups that were around the substance were usually very much less cult-like the groups without substances,
So
which
it was more like a gathering for a party. Go
uh,
get high and
with a spiritual purpose. But
to get
yes,
Did they play techno music?
no.
Okay.
But what type of music were they playing?
Depends on the group again, because
Okay, tell
again
us
there were
the
many.
Native American story.
The ones where they were playing actual traditional music
The
on
water
the drums.
drum.
Yes, so there were some people that would come. This was not on my parents' place, but I got connected to them.
Yes, I forgot because you told it the other day. So you start as a translator, but then people get to know you and they were inviting you to like ceremonies and shit.
And
Exactly.
offshore events, been to Crete and that kind of thing. You became kind of known in the circle.
Yes, I was a very sought out translator.
Okay, so they were buying your tickets to fly you to the...
Yes, they did fly me to Crete one time for like a 3-day workship, I think.
And they usually paid your hotels, your
They
expenses.
did, yes,
Oh,
yes, that
we
was
should
fun.
be also involved in a cult. It sounds fun.
Sounds profitable, to be honest.
Okay, tell
Guys out there, no, actually, no, don't comment, don't reach out.
What you are about to say if you were in a cult.
Yes, don't reach
Send
out.
us an email.
Send us an email, evolvingbutbackwards@gmail.com. Don't reach out to me personally, thank you.
Okay, so what about the Native Americans and the experience of them?
The Native Americans, first of all, the whole thing was more, again, believable from a side that, okay, they believe in it because they
have
were
a
Native
strong
Americans, it was their culture, I get it, it's all very interesting as well. And they used to have, they have certain substances that they believe will, cleanse and heal and stuff like that.
Okay, before you tell us about the substances, like the name of the substance, how they were using it, can you tell us about their leader?
Again, I'm not very sure about that because they were just single people. There were many different people that would come from Mexico, for example. Or
Okay, remember you said the story that their leader was a former prisoner.
that was just a shaman, a guy that came here. I'm not sure if any of them was the leader because there were many different people part of the same group. Maybe there was another guy.
Group. With
Yeah.
Quotes.
With quotation.
Okay, and the guy, I remember you said he was in prison and then around 50 years old, he was like, he was in a gang or something.
There was this guy, yes, full of tattoos, face tattoos, like 50 years old. And he said that he used to be part of a gang, he went to prison, he came out of prison and then he felt a spiritual calling and he went back to his tribe and became a part of all of that tradition, which to be honest was pretty inspiring. There was a very strong sense of community and tradition in what they were doing instead of the other groups.
Probably he saw the potential to make profit. He was like, I'm gonna preach the ways of the white buffalo.
Where do you get this shit? The ways of the white buffalo. Okay, so at that point, let's say, after the first few sessions, they started reaching out to you to go to events. They were flying you places. To create, etc., other ways. Tell us more about the kind of drugs that they use to enhance the experience of the...
Did you participate?
I did participate a few times in those ceremonies, on my own volition, of course, just to see what's going on. The first time I tried peyote was one of the substances they were doing, which, as far as I know, it's like a cactus from North America and Mexico.
Okay, so their leader, whatever, this cult, were able to transfer some kind of herbal drug from Mexico or whatever
Yes.
in Greece to give it to
Somehow.
their flock.
To their I'm loving the terminology.
Thank you so
Okay,
much.
so they got this drug. What other drugs did they smuggle with them?
But how did they smuggle them
That's
from
the
the
good.
United
That's a
States?
good
That's a good
question.
question. I don't know the answer.
They have connections.
Either they have connection or really good faith, I guess.
As far as you know, do you know if they were facilitated by transporting these drugs, or not? That I don't expect you to know, but do you know if somebody helped them bring the drugs
No
into the
idea,
country,
no
or
idea.
okay?
Okay, tell us about the experience with this drug.
The experience,
And
to
how
be
did-
honest,
And how did they use it? Like in a
I
session?
will.
Were they all going there just to take the drug? They all knew it, or was it something that was implemented?
You knew what you were going for,
Okay.
100%. You had to pay, and now
How
it
much?
makes, I think it was like 80 euros for the night.
Okay, let's see.
Which, to be honest, it makes more sense because they also brought something.
And for how long was the high?
Pretty much from, I guess, 12 o'clock until 8 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night. This took place over the night.
Okay, so they were high for 8 hours.
Yep,
In a
at
trance.
least.
It's very legit to pay 80 euros for this. I mean, you
Are
know.
you getting ideas?
No, but you know, not that I'm into
Again,
these
these
things.
guys were way more legit, and I would say maybe these guys were not a cult. I will say this.
Okay, but like with the prices right now, not that I know, a friend of mine told me, like even to get Coke is 100 euros, and you do what, half an hour, and you
Nice
then
deal.
again.
But
It's a
the
good deal.
high, as I will tell you, is maybe not what you would want.
All right, tell us about how they used the drug to reach the goal, and what was the high.
How
like?
was the ceremony?
Yeah.
So
Explain to us this.
it was all very ceremonial, traditional. There was a bonfire again. People would be on a circle around it, and they would also have a native traditional instrument, the water drum, which is a drum filled with water. It makes a very, very deep noise, and they would just bang the drum,
Now that you have a pop filter, how was the noise?
pop, something like this.
Pop of the pop.
Okay, so they lit a bonfire and then basically got the people and said, okay, now we're gonna do this to what? To reach our spiritual
find
capability?
yourself.
Like, what
To
was the
cleanse
reasoning?
and basically, everyone has something to work on their own stuff. Work
Okay.
on that stuff.
So they used like was it a psychedelic drug?
It is hallucinogenic.
Okay, and it was like you eat it, they gave everybody a portion. How did it work?
Basically, you eat it, and there's also like tea made out of it, and dust that you eat again. It was something like dust.
Okay, and the Native
All from the same
American
plant, sorry.
shaman was wearing the traditional Native American feathers and
Yes,
stuff
yes,
like that.
yes.
Ah, so they went full on. They wore the head
Exactly.
garment, wherever you call it. Okay, and they gave them that. And what did it cause to the attendees? How did they react? Like, how long did it take? Did it take for them to go into a trance or something like that?
And since you participated, like, what was your experience on that?
Uh,
Both
fir-
as a third party and for you.
Of course. So, first of all, the taste, it's not good, guys. The taste of any of those substances.
Is there any drug that tastes nice?
uh,
Not that I know.
how would you know, Marius?
Hey, I've tried Ponstan and Augmentin. It's not good.
I've tried Panadol and Dupont. They taste really bad.
It was even worse. Some of these things I would say the worst things that I have tasted in my life, definitely. And you eat it, and you drink some tea at the beginning, and the water drum that I mentioned, they keep banging it for the entire night. So it's like this tempo
Okay.
for the entire night, and you
That
already
sounded
consume.
something like something else there.
Like coitus. Anyway.
And you have already consumed a hallucinogenic drug, so it's very easy to go into a
Trance.
trance,
You focus on
basically,
the
with
beat.
this.
Okay.
There was some throwing up.
It sounds like you know, Marius.
I mean, I've heard stories.
From friends, yes. All right, sorry, John. Keep going.
You go into this trance. There was some throwing up because it really tastes bad. It really doesn't sit well with your stomach.
Did they throw up on each other like 2 girls, 1 cup?
No, thankfully no. They were very organized, and there were little buckets that you had so you can throw in.
Okay, and for the listeners, if you haven't seen it, please Google 2 girls, 1 cup and thank me later.
The lawyer of the podcast, I think, would say
No.
I
better
mean, it's
no.
for comedic purposes, of
Mark
course.
Zuckerberg, we miss you. Shout out. Okay, so they had buckets. It was super organized. Was there somebody overseeing if somebody had a bad trip or something,
Like a
or no?
paramedic.
Yeah, or
Basically the main guy had usually would bring like 2 or 3 people.
Don't say main guy, say cult leader.
Again, these guys, not really, I would not classify them as a cult.
The drug lord.
keep in mind, John at this point has drank the Kool-Aid, so he's not gonna say.
I'm not in a cult. I'm not with these guys, be it a cult or not. I just want to be completely clear for our listeners.
Transparent. All right, so yes, keep going. Tell us.
And tell us the experience of the drug. How does it feel?
So yeah, about the experience, I ate the stuff. I drank some. You go into the trance where basically, they told us that okay, think on something that's what you want to work with right now. I don't remember what I chose, to be honest, because it was like 15 years ago or something.
He was
like that.
focusing, how do I get a motorcycle? How do I get laid?
Something probably, but no, something, your own personal issues, like psychological issues. Those guys would not tell you to not go to the doctor and pray on it, thankfully. Anyway, things start getting dizzy after a bit. It was my first experience with any substance other than weed so far. And
Oh, Joey, you brought a drug addict to our podcast.
That's my vibe.
recovering.
Recovering drug. Okay, keep going.
And it's really hard to explain all of these experiences if you have not lived it for yourself, to be honest.
Give us the vibe, though. Give us the vibe. Like,
What was the effect?
Did you see stuff? Did it open you up? Did it really help you? Did it not? 8 hours. Like, what was the 8 hours? More or less.
There were phases, and I think it was pretty much the same for a lot of people. First of all, yes, I think it did help me. It did open my mind quite a bit. That particular experience. Without
I'm kind of jealous. Not
Just let him talk. Shut up.
understandable. Leaving all of the spiritual stuff of any of the different traditions people were following, etc. That particular experience and a few others like it were really, I think, I guess, defined who I am. Those experiences, yes. Without having to do it again, I was not really into the tradition and the beliefs of
Okay,
the
what was
thing.
the effect? Like, what were you seeing?
So it's not like, for me, I didn't see dragons, I didn't see things like that. But
That's a bummer, but
that's a bummer, I know. But you look at a tree and you think you see a face. You look at the stars and you see shapes that form something. Your brain suggests things, I guess. But it was not even too much about that. That was fun. That was interesting.
Okay.
It was what was happening inside my brain that was really the point
okay,
of all
was
of
it
that
a
night.
fun experience overall, or was it?
I will say
Were you
overall
bad tripping?
worth it. Fun, I wouldn't do it for fun. That's not the point.
What was the experience for the rest of the group? Like, were we discussing about it later? Did you enjoy it? Did
Yes.
you feel like
So
healed?
first of all, I think there are phases within the night. First of all, when you take it, it's hard because its taste sucks so bad. It's hard on your stomach as well, for sure. Some people threw up, and if you threw up, you probably need to take some more because you just
yeah,
it
you
just
go down.
went.
Mommy, you're wasting it.
At first it's very hard for everyone. That was a good one. But then as people start feeling it more and more and they start to work on their own stuff, it's still hard because people are in their own thoughts. You're in the trance.
If you know, were there any people there that they were already, let's say, I'm not gonna say, okay, drug dependent, let's say.
I know that there was for a fact that there was one day there was a person that was recovering a heroin addict, and he was doing this to try and
Okay,
stop.
so this workshop that they were not a cult, let's say, they were providing drugs to the participants of the session, and they were also doing it on recovering people from drug addiction.
Only that particular drug.
Were they asking, or was it open season for everyone?
I think that it was pretty much open season for everyone, but again, this was much more of a this is part of their tradition. They know that they've been doing this for their whole lives. It makes more sense than the
Okay,
other stuff.
but they
to
didn't
me.
care to check.
Not much. But to be fair, I think that guy managed to get off heroin.
Like it helped him.
I wouldn't know, but a few months later, he was
Fighting
clean.
fire with fire.
Whatever works.
Okay, so did any of the participants ever have a major freak out where they went crazy and out of control?
There were again screams and crying and stuff, but no one punched anyone else.
But did they, I don't know, panic, started running around or something like that?
I think there was the one day a guy just started running and he left.
Okay.
He just
And
left.
they never found him. He's still running.
Hope he's
Alive
doing
anyway.
well.
Did any of the participants bring kids with them to these sessions?
No kids on these sessions, I think.
You think or
I
you
think.
know?
I think.
I don't think they were taking IDs, to be honest. Okay, was there anything of sexual nature to these sessions?
I'm sure there was lots of sex going afterwards. During, impossible. Impossible.
Impossible.
Impossible. I remember one time where you told us on Friday you went, it was in Crete, I think, or one of these remote places that they did the sessions at. And
No, I think it was in his house, right? But they
Which
didn't
one?
hire you on that weekend.
I think it was in Crete.
I'm not sure which story you're
The
talking
one,
about.
I think they rented the room for you, and it was like shared between, the place was shared between all the participants, and you came to your room that they rented you,
And you found some.
and you found some stuff.
Oh, I remember. That was in my house. That was from. I wasn't working with that particular group. They were just renting the space. And should I say the story?
Yes.
So yeah, there was a group in my house. I was already working with those guys, but it was a group I didn't know. I wasn't working with them, and they had just rented the space in my house.
Okay, but when you say in my house, you mean the second one that you were.
Yes, there was basically we had a
Not your actual house, the one
not
you
the
were
actual
at.
house. No, we had like a
2 buildings.
2 acres property and
Bougie.
two different buildings. Yes, it's in the countryside, so it's more. It's
Okay,
not
so it was,
rich.
let's say, your summer house that you were renting, and
Yes,
you had your
yes.
own room there, of course. Okay.
Bougie.
So I went over there when they were done, and I just went to my room, which was basically outside from the main house. And young naive me left the door unlocked because who would go into an unknown guy's room? And I went inside, and I just basically saw that my bed was all over the place, and I started checking, and I found lots of dirt from the ground. And I definitely used condom thrown there.
Okay, so maybe that particular session involved frolicking under the moonlight, major gangbang action happening. But
Something happened for sure.
yeah.
Okay, so in most of the sessions, or you never seen like any orgies going on around the
No,
fire
no.
or something, but there was this occasion that it was still your place. They didn't hire you, so you were not working with them. And you just went to check your place, and you just saw the condom and dirt.
Maybe it was part of the experience. Maybe it was just
They
some
did a
people
hookup.
doing whatever they're doing.
And the most important part here is the dirt. Like, what the fuck?
What the fuck?
Really.
I'm telling you, maybe it was some sort of part of a ritual where you would have to finish off your healing by having sex in the dirt.
By ejaculating.
Exactly. And yeah, like maybe it started outside and they're like, this is not comfortable. And they went inside. Also, I remember you told us of a particular instance of, let's say, attempted sexual assault. Do you want to tell us about that? Where I think it was a 17-year-old girl and one of the cult leaders tried to force himself, let's say.
There was an occasion like this. I just heard the story, so I don't know how much of a maybe it was just a proposition. I'm just trying to be fair. Maybe it was not too much of a proposition. The girl told me that nothing happened, but there was the attempt for sure. The guy must have been like 50 years old at least.
This is the cult leader, right? The
Yes,
person.
yes.
Okay, okay.
And he was like, it's worth a shot, maybe.
So
Okay.
yeah, they
You
weren't.
miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Exactly. Okay, so your overall experience with different groups was going from the fake spiritual use rocks and shit to you heal your cancer, pee on yourself for your wounds or whatever.
That was a hard one to translate.
Yes. Oh yeah, just pee to yourself. Yeah, just lost a limb. Just pee on it. You're gonna be like a lizard.
Not to translate, but to actually say with a straight face.
Okay. And the range like was going up to like doing team drug, trance, spiritual cleansing and shit. For you personally, did it feel weird? Was it fun? Was it exciting? Did you think that it was fucked up? Like, what was your take on the 10 years that you were working, let's say, with cults?
It was a bit of everything. There were weird times. There were, again, I was making money. I was making for a young me, very good bank. I didn't really care. I knew that it was weird. I was, of course, seeing the red flags.
Yeah, but did they
etc.
make you like uncomfortable at some point?
There were points, of course, that was uncomfortable. And, you know, people that go to these places, okay, everyone has their own issues, okay? But usually you have to be a certain amount of weird, odd.
Not me, I'm perfect, just for the record. But yes, please keep going.
Except you, Joey. Except you.
Thank you.
And there were many people in those workshops, I guess, in those cults, that were, you know, they were already weird before they joined. They just jumped on the bandwagon, but they were pretty much already crazy. So yeah, there were uncomfortable times.
Do you regret it, or would you do it again?
I would not do it again for sure, but I never regret any experience because.
So looking back, you're like, okay, it was worth it. I made money. It was a fun experience, let's say, but you wouldn't do it again. Like if they would call you now and tell you,
No,
John,
I wouldn't do it again.
Okay, John, we want you to come translate for 2 days. We're going to give you €1,000.
Okay, for €1,000, you
Okay.
didn't mention the price change.
So you are a whore, but you just don't know your
Aren't
price
we
yet.
all?
What would you say was your weirdest experience?
Sorry, before that,
Yes.
wouldn't you do it for $1,000?
I would do it for 100. It sounds fun.
I would do it for 1,000, but again, reach out to me to the corporate email, not directly to me,
It
please.
will come as a package.
Exactly. We will go double translate for you, all right? I'll do it in a southern accent, and you will do it in a Greek one.
Perfect.
Okay.
Hey, y'all, you gotta piss on your wound to heal it. Anyway.
Okay, and I told you from a previous episode that in my village there is like a Buddhist commune thingy. That there were people going there as a commune, like living together and whatnot. It is an actual commune. The thing is that this is actual religion, like they're Buddhists and they're going there, or Hindus. I don't remember exactly the religion, but they have a commune and they live together and do stuff. But it is a religion, not like a cult. In any case, I remember you also said the story, and just to take it also back to if you felt uncomfortable, let's say, about the Wiccan leader.
There was this lady, she was a Greek lady, she wasn't a Wiccan leader. She was a bit of into every possible energy, alternative thing you can imagine. Herbs, zodiacs, energy, crystals, Wiccans, everything that's not mainstream, I guess. I don't remember the story because there are so
Something
many.
about tantric sex.
Okay, so that's another lady that I met
okay.
through that lady. So I was working in a that was not even a workshop. It was like a gathering for people that are into all of this kind of stuff. It was clearly to buy merchandise and stuff.
Okay,
and
it was the hipsters that were doing it.
Clearly, yes, for crystals and new age stuff.
Should we just start selling crystals? I mean,
I'm down, to be honest.
Expensive stuff.
I'm gonna buy them off AliExpress for like €1 and sell it for 100.
Doesn't sound like a scam at all.
That's marketing.
All right, tell us
Okay.
about the lady.
Anyway, so I was at this place and I was just, translating. And there was this lady that she was, I guess, a tantric sex mistress, teacher, something. And
Dominatrix.
something like that. She was extremely tall, extremely tall. I'm 189. She was like 2 meters tall, easily.
Okay, so around my height.
Somewhere around
Zoe,
there.
why are you laughing?
Signomi, you are tall. You are.
Bitch.
Just not like 2 meters.
She was just a bit shorter than you. And I want you to imagine the full regalia.
Paint us a picture because our audience has their eyes closed. So go for it.
Yes, still closed. Perfect. I want you to imagine the whitest lady in the universe that just went to India and drank the entire Kool-Aid. That's exactly the picture. Full-on traditional Indian clothes. The dot in the forehead, everything was there. The whitest lady again, and she was basically another guy was like pulling her leg. He was saying something like, "Oh, I don't know about tantric sex because if I want to reach that point and I don't, I just get blue balls. What's the point?" And I just got into the conversation for fun, and she told me, "Oh, you can always come to my house for some tea and to discuss this."
Okay, fun fact about tantric sex for the ones that don't know. Tantric sex originates from ancient Hinduism and revolves around sexual practices that focus on creating a deep, intimate connection. So pretty much it's a slow, kind
Slow burn.
of spiritual way of having sex when you don't actually finish, which is fucked up.
I felt undressed.
What
at
did
that
she
moment.
tell you specifically? Like when you had that conversation, why was that a memorable interaction?
Mostly because of the pass she tried to the shot she tried to make, but she was saying that basically that her explanation was that basically that when you feel horny you have that I wanna fuck energy. Well, if you don't spend that energy, you can keep it and use it for your everyday tasks.
Oh my
which-
god, that sounds like torture.
You're gonna see
Exactly.
like wet dreams and wake up and be like, oh, now I need to do laundry.
So she basically asked you for tantra practice. That's basically
She
it.
invited you and like, John,
Basically, yeah.
let me show you the ways.
All right, so a lot of weird interactions you've had. What was the weirdest that just sticks out to you?
One that really sticks out to me, it was just with a person that was attending. And again, the main idea behind most of these groups is like, we should love everything and everyone, the whole deal. And right after a speech about that, a person says, yes, love everyone, of course, except Muslims. Fuck those guys.
Okay.
I was not a very big fan of that.
All right, so yeah, a lot of hypocrisy. Did they have merch? Because I'm trying to convince Marius to start our own merchandise. Did
Of
these
course.
girls have merch?
Of course, there was merch.
Really?
Crystals. I don't know. Like they were using. Different groups were using different stuff. For example, some groups were using that thing they were using in Supernatural. Where you.
A
How's
Ouija
it
board?
called? How's it called? Do you remember?
Ouija board?
No, the thing with
soul?
let's
A
say
locator, like it locates stuff on the map. You put the crystal and kind
They-
of find something.
in
Okay.
Supernatural they were using it to locate, I guess, ghosts.
I think
and
it's called
stuff.
like pendulum or something.
Yeah,
Yes,
bravo.
yes, perfect.
High intellect, high IQ.
Top of the
Nice.
vocabulary here. Is crazy.
Oxford University coming right over. So you could buy one from them or like whatever other pieces of native stuff, like clothing and
But
things like
they are
that.
using the Apple ecosystem mentality. They're like, okay, to do our teachings, you need crystals. Here are the crystals from us. Cost you 500 euros.
Exactly. Keep the money in the system.
Did any of the cult leaders use their position to solicit and have sex with any of the participants, as far as you know?
Not in front of me, but I'm sure it would have happened.
Did they talk about suicide, death, or something in that extent?
Suicide, don't do it. First of
No,
all,
obviously.
disclaimer, but they would say don't do it.
Okay, so there was no one promoting it.
No,
let's
no,
say.
thankfully.
Okay.
That would I think I would have mentioned it.
True, but like the biggest like cults that you see, they all end up with a Kool-Aid, and I'm like, okay.
But they
Yes.
never advertise it. It's at the towards the end. If things don't work out, let's kill ourselves.
There
Basically.
was a cult, I don't remember the name, that started with a guy that had like a channel on TV or online that they were waiting for the end of the world and they just kind of timed it so that let's all die before it happens.
And they all drank poison together. It's very romantic, to be honest.
It's super fucked up, so it's not romantic.
Okay,
Yes.
I find it romantic. Okay, anywho.
But
If you
no
know
such,
anyone that is thinking about that, seek for help, I'm gonna say. Anyway.
Yes,
Exactly.
of course, yes. It's not cool to kill yourself. It's actually, especially if you don't succeed, that makes you a double loser.
What
Go
am I
find
like?
help.
I'm trying to be serious here, a serious matter. Popo.
Signomi, terribly signomi. Many Evcharistos for that warning, trigger warning. All right, so when was the point that you reached that you're like,
I'm done.
I can't do this anymore? Like,
So there were I was going through that for a while, like enough. You know, my I guess my conscience was telling me.
oh, so there was an internal struggle at a certain point.
You know, yes, because after a point, I was not, of course, either making these people join, telling them to believe this stuff, but I was part of this. I was just translating, sure, but I was not feeling too great on the conscience side. It was going for a while, but it was especially after I had to translate for a workshop where they said that basically the modern way women give birth destroys the connection between the mom and the child. Do it naturally. So that was the point where I said,
And whatever happens, happens.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
like if you
exactly.
die, if your baby dies, it doesn't matter. Wow. Okay.
you won't. Just do our breathing techniques.
Amazing. All
So
right.
I was not a big fan of that.
Really, if you think about it, okay, maybe nothing sounds out of the gate super shocking, like they weren't telling them worship Satan, but they were really promoting things that literally had people died because of it. Like people with
Exactly.
cancer died. Maybe women that went and gave birth like this and needed medical assistance died. So it's
Why? Just make money.
just to make money, basically. Yeah. I mean. Did any of the people who were there cult leaders that were really convinced by what they were saying, and you, in your opinion, led to people passing away because of that advice?
I didn't see it happen in front of my eyes, but I'm sure that if it kept going, I mean, if they kept going in the trajectory they were into, yes, 100%.
All right. So after you started thinking about, you had this internal struggle, like your conscience, I don't want to do this anymore. How did you get out of it? And was there any pushback that they tried to convince you to stay?
So there was a bit of pushback, but not, you know, you can't leave Hotel California style. But you know, oh, please stay, you're the best, I will give you more money or something like that. But it was enough for me, and also I needed a more stable job because that was not going every day, right? It was a few times a year. I needed something more stable financially, and yeah, it was enough for me anyway.
Have they approached you ever since you left to come
Yes,
back?
I got some messages to translate a few workshops, but I was like, sorry, I'm busy, but you know, have a nice time.
Would you say, I'm asking for a friend, that these people are dangerous if you make a
I would say overall, no. But the occasional nut job, you know, that they could be anywhere. Yes.
I live in Piraeus, just for the record. Okay, Tispa, so you left. I know you said you would never do it again, but are there certain aspects that you miss about it?
Something that I might do again sometime in the future would be the ceremony including substances. Honestly, that was that one experience I mentioned might have been the only and the only spiritual really moment experience I had in my life, which do whatever you want with that. But it really, I guess, touched me. So
Okay, so out of the 150 days that you said that you've attended these sessions, let's say, most of them were just fake,
Yes.
whatever,
yes,
just to
yes.
make money. But this was the only like legit one that.
For me, that seemed the most legit, and also the people. It wasn't like give us all your money, come serve us in.
I mean, 80 euros is not that much, to be honest. If you
Exactly.
compare it to
It
the
was-
others that they
it
would
was
give
very
you
legit.
300 and then buy the crystals
Exactly.
and then let's
And
breathe.
they were very upfront with it. This is the experience. We believe it can help you. It's something that we do as part of our tradition.
And also that thing, like the others, like you will see, like, I don't know, a white male, female from the UK talking about Hinduism and crystals and shit. Like, it seems fake. But then
Yeah,
you
yeah.
see, like, a Native American coming from there to have, like, the tribal way of
Exactly. It's more
processing that.
believable.
Yes,
It makes more sense.
My final question, let's say, in these sessions, was it? Did you see some of the same people coming back? So
There were the same people coming back again and again.
So didn't really heal them.
Yeah.
okay.
Was it in different groups?
Some people they would rotate between different groups as well. And
Okay.
for those people, you need help, right?
Okay, so were people that they were attending the same seminars, let's say, all over again to, I don't know, overcome some issues, but they would come again. So obviously they didn't, but then they would also switch on different
Yes.
techniques on different groups and shit.
Yes.
All of this instead of going to a psychiatrist,
Exactly.
psychologist.
Exactly. And paying, as we mentioned,
shit ton of
real
money.
amounts of money.
I mean,
Okay.
listen, I'm not a licensed psychologist, but I'm a great listener, guys. So
How much?
a lot. Anyway.
Okay, John, thank you for being today with us, and thank you for being so open about the whole discussion.
Thank you
and
very much,
what you
guys.
shared. And for our listeners, if you ever see workshops cleanse your butthole with crystals and shit, it's a cult. Don't do it.
Unless you really want to, but I would recommend you not do it. But do what sparks joys in you and what tinkles your.
Baby.
Yes.
Well, stop trying to make this happen.
It will.
In any case, this was the last episode of the season. Thank you everybody for listening. We will come back.
Ella, this is so I feel I don't want to let you guys go. We've had this connection, this bond, and now we're gonna be gone for a while.
And again, as I have said a lot of times, when we did the first episode, we were like, okay, we hope we reach like 100 views, whatever. At this point, before we released the episode, we're above 1,100.
Nah, it's like Sally Field said when she was winning her Oscar, her second Oscar. You like me. You really, really like me.
Okay, Joy.
Anyway.
It has been an experience doing this podcast. Thank you for listening. We will be back for season 2 in September. Now we're just going to enjoy vacation and prepare for season 2 because, as we said, we're going to have video for the second season. You can see our faces when we cringe at each other.
Correct. And it's going to be Marius cringing at me a lot of the time. But really, many efcharistos. Signo me, signo you for the absence that we're going to have. But we're going to come back stronger than ever. And
Just thank you for sticking with us for this long.
many efcharistos.
Okay, John, again, thank you for today.
Many
Thanks for having me, guys. It was great.
Much
And
love.
bye.
Bye.